Okay, the competition version of the T-Rex, instead of using the Dana axles, we use the Rockwell 2.5 ton top loaders. One, because they're super simple and easy to work on. They're made for the military, and remember, the military's a bunch of 19-year-old kids who don't know what they're doing. So they're simple, they're strong, and it fits just perfectly for the T-Rex's application. They are kind of heavy, they're almost 1,000 pounds each, which is actually pretty good for a 6-wheel drive vehicle. That gives this thing 3,500 pounds of unsprung weight when you think of tires and wheels and such. So it's very stable and very balanced. But anyway, so on these Rockwells, what we've done previously, we used the pinion brake and then of course the steering assist. But now we're going to be swapping out the pinion brake and going to hub brakes, which are better because we did lose our brakes one time on a trail coming down a steep hill, and the heat buildup on just 3 brakes is you know, you have twice the braking power if you put them out at the hubs, and twice the heat dissipation. So that's what we're working on right now. Now we've got to take the Hummer bead locks off. These have a center bead lock in them. They're double bead locks. So we're going to take those wheels off and start working on replacing and flipping the hubs and installing disc brakes. The disc brakes come from Boyce. My friends at Boyce Equipment, they're the masters of these kind of axles and stuff, and man, this good stuff. Alrighty, we got a bunch of good equipment from Boyce Equipment. Good friends there set me up with the disc brake at the hubs kit. Currently the T-Rex has pinion brakes, which I do not like, especially on the street, and I have had the pinion brakes fail going down a hill before. Okay, got the hub here stripped down, cleaned up. So in the front axle, you've got to flip the hubs. So I've got to pound these out, or actually I use a okay, got the hub in the vise. That's how I set up bearing tool. I snug it down before I put the impact on it. I just get the impact wrench on it, and these lugs back right out. All right, this in here is called the hat, and this is the hub with the lugs taken out. And this is right over that. Line those holes up and put your new lugs in. And this is what the rotor is going to connect to. So you place the rotor on top of the hat, and put some of these 1-inch grade 8 bolts in place to keep things all centered. Now, to be sure that this rotor gets pressed down on there evenly, I just slowly work my way around, you know, star pattern, to get this down seated perfectly. Hub and rotor assembly is complete. Now we will go out and put on the caliper mount on the axle and put this back on, re-grease the bearings and all, pack it full of grease, and then mount the caliper. And then we've got these really cool brackets that just bolt right in onto the knuckle, and that's what's going to hold the caliper assembly. The rotor hub assembly is now on the passenger side. The mount is there. We're now going to put on the Willwood calipers and pads and connect up the brake line. It's best to install the bottom bolt first. There's just 2 bolts that hold it in place so that you can get access to that nut. It's a little easier. And of course, you just slide this in place. Hard to do with holding the camera. Pop in that bolt and then slip in the Loctite nut right there and tighten it down, and your caliper is installed. Once you have those 2 bolts put in place on the mount, the caliper is in place. And I love these Willwood calipers. They're the easiest things to put together. The hardest part is getting the brake pads out of the plastic containers that they come in. But see, you just pop this pin out and just slide the pads in. Then put the pin back in. Slide that cotter pin back in there. Bend up a tab, and you've just changed the pads. That simple. Alrighty, that's it. Got both sides complete. That's how simple it is to convert a 2.5 ton Rockwell from a pinion brake over to hub disc brakes. That's going to be much safer and much better. All I've got to do now is run some brake lines, clean the axle back up, maybe repaint it. And we're going to finish this guy off hopefully before spring.